Republican Congresswoman from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, has already drawn plenty of criticism for her support of some QAnon conspiracy theories. But last month, she added fresh fuel to her controversy fire with multiple statements comparing coronavirus regulations, including a mask-wearing mandate in the House of Representatives, to Nazi measures against Jews during the Holocaust.
We can look back in a time in history where people were told to wear a gold star, and they were definitely treated like second-class citizens, so much so that they were put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany. And this is exactly the type of abuse that Nancy Pelosi is talking about.
Now, that remark and others like it drew an avalanche of condemnations from Jewish groups and politicians, including within her own party, and also an invitation from Washington's Holocaust Memorial Museum. And after visiting it yesterday, Greene offered up this apology.
I have made a mistake, and it's really bothered me for a couple of weeks now, and so I definitely want to own it. This afternoon, I visited the Holocaust Museum. The Holocaust there's nothing comparable to it.
Well, for more, let's go to our senior U.S. correspondent, Mike Wagenheim in New York. And, Mike, it was interesting because Congresswoman Taylor Greene, initially after making those remarks last month, really wasn't backtracking at all in the face of criticism. And now we have something of a turnabout.
It's something of a turnabout. Who knew the Holocaust was worse than wearing a mask? I guess you had to go to the museum to figure it out. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been, number one, she's been under pressure within Congress. Not that that's bothered her in the past, but there is a censure resolution that has been tabled against her for those most recent comments, along with others. Also, there is some indication, though not a great indication, but some indication that her comments have rankled some supporters in her congressional district in Georgia, although her fundraising numbers are certainly astounding for a freshman member of Congress. Listen, she went at least. She did say, if these comments were offensive, they were wrong. She did apologize, so credit where credit is due. On the other hand, she did, within that same press conference, continue to insist that because she believes that there are socialists within the Democratic ranks and the Nazis were the Nazi Socialist Party, the National Socialist Party, that the Democratic Party is therefore akin to the Nazis, and she continues to go about that line of rhetoric and thinking. So I guess one step at a time with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right, an apology this week. I suspect we will be hearing more of Marjorie Taylor Greene in the coming months on other issues, and maybe back to this one again. But let's move from the House of Representatives to the Senate, because they're on a little more serious note. The senators, both sides of the aisle, taking a look at the issue of anti-Semitism, the resurgence of it in recent weeks in the U.S., and deciding to make a statement about it. Mike.
That's right. Rare time that Congress and the Senate coming together in terms of completing one task, bipartisan resolution passing within the Senate unanimously in response to the recent flood of anti-Semitic attacks and rhetoric within the U.S. It's calling for a number of things, not just a resolution saying it's happening, but they want action right now. Senator Jackie Rosen, a Democrat from Nevada, leading this resolution in conjunction with other Republicans. They want the Biden administration to tackle this problem head on, name finally an anti-Semitism envoy, a position that's been vacant since the end of the Trump administration. That position is at the ambassadorial level, so it would have to go through Senate approval, but it's meant to address anti-Semitism worldwide. They want now to move ahead with the Never Again Education Act, which in the same vein as Marjorie Taylor Greene is supposed to provide Holocaust education, $10 million worth over the next 5 years to middle schoolers and high schoolers so they can learn more about the Holocaust and its consequences and the reasons that it happened to begin with. That legislation was already passed and signed into law by Donald Trump next year. There's also legislation that's currently making its way through Congress for fiscal year 2022 to provide almost double the amount from last year, $360 million for the Nonprofit Security Grant Program, which would provide programming here for synagogues, religious institutions, other nonprofits to help them along. Senator Jackie Rosen, very happy that this resolution passed and what the consequences it might bring going forward. Let's listen to her in the Senate yesterday.
Anti-Semitism has long been the canary in the coal mine of hatred. History teaches us that when anti-Semitism takes hold, democracy itself is imperished. issue has reared its ugly head in recent years, particularly in the past month.
Calev, it must be noted that there were several Republican initiatives on the anti-Semitism issue that were starting to wind its way through Congress, through the House and the Senate. Everybody in the end got behind this particular resolution. Now it's up to the Biden administration to roll with it from here.
All right, Mike Wagenheim in New York, thank you for that.